Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa mursaleen. Sayyidina wa habibina ala Mustafa. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawmiddin wa ba'd. So I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's class, week 12 of the tafsir of Suratul Kahf, and also including the Salawat of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This week, I got a couple of videos I need to show, so I don't know if we're going to get to the Salawat part, but if not, we'll still continue to do it, inshallah. So how is everyone?
Doing well, alhamdulillah, and yourself?
Good, alhamdulillah. Okay, we didn't have class last week because I was out of town, but the week before, we reached up to ayat 70, and we started the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam and Khidr. And so, anybody remember the theme that we took from there when we talked about Khidr and the hadith that we mentioned? Just a little review. Like, how did this journey begin with Khidr meeting Musa alayhi salam?
Are you referring to like when he said you're not gonna be able to not trust me, but don't ask me no questions as we're on our travel?
Yeah, that's part of it. But what happened with Prophet Musa? What did he say? He was giving a talk to some of his people, to Bani Israel. What did he say? Remember the hadith that we related?
Don't recall it.
So remember the hadith we related in Sahih Bukhari, where Musa, when he was asked who's the most knowledgeable person on earth, and he said, I don't know anybody more knowledgeable than me. And so then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put him on this journey to meet Khidr. And then he, got on the journey. He made an agreement with him. In order for him to go on the journey, the condition was to not ask him about what he sees. And then he repeated to him a couple of times, Innaka lan tastati'a ma'iya sabra. He said, for sure you won't be able to have patience with me. And so the lesson began to show Musa like that he wasn't the most knowledgeable person on earth, right? But this concept we kind of discussed last week, we use this word taqleed. You remember what this word is, taqleed? When you see the translation of taqleed, what does it usually translate as?
Isn't it like to leave off something?
No.
Oh.
When we talked about taqleed, we said it comes from a word to mean like a necklace, or to take a horse by the gird that you put around his neck and to lead him around. Anybody remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And so what's the translation of it? What's the translation of taqleed, or what you usually see it as?
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Alhamdulillah.
Remember they said the word taqleed, you usually see it as blind following. But is that the correct translation, blind following?
I don't remember what the translation was that you said.
Okay, yeah. The translation is not blind following, because blind following implies that the one who's leading doesn't know where they're going. And then the person is blind following that person. So it means imitation. It means the imitation of authoritative scholarship, meaning that the one who knows, you follow that person because you don't know. And then we mentioned two basic categories of how it used to be as far as Islamic scholarship. You had only basically two types of people. And the terms, you remember the terms, the mujtahid and the muqallid. What is the mujtahid?
The person that can derive rulings.
Yes, a person who can derive rulings straight from the Quran and Sunnah because they know all the sciences of the Quran. They know the abrogated verses of the Quran. They know the verses about ahkam, rulings. They know all of the sciences. Then they know the sciences of hadith. And we mentioned that a person who was considered a muhaddith, how many hadith do they memorize?
A lot.
Yeah, we know a lot, but how many?
Was it over 1,000?
No, way over 1,000.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we said this statement, but there was one time,
100,000? Toronto said 100,000.
yeah, 100,000. A hadith scholar is known as what's called a hafiz. So when a hadith scholar is called a hafiz, that means that he has at least 100,000 hadith memorized. And remember, we talked about the hadith that it has basically two parts. It has the text, which is called the metan, and then it has the sanad, which is the chain of transmission. Such and such and such and such related to from so and so and so and so until it reaches the Prophet Sallallahu. And so the whole science about who are the people in the chain, if they're weak, that they had a good memory, where are they from, their biographies, all of this. A person who is a scholar of hadith knows all of these things by memory, right? And so there was, I don't know, related this, but one time Imam Ahmed was asked about if they memorize, he said, I think it was like 200,000 hadith, would he be a muhaddith? And he said no. Then he was asked, what about 300,000? And then he said no. And then he said, what about 400,000 hadith? And then he waved his hand like, kind of like, yeah, that you're getting there. And it was reported about Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah, that he himself memorized over a million hadith. So, so these are the people who were known as mujtahids, right? And then we mentioned that mujtahids have different levels. And we talked about the person, say we know of someone who was a mufti. What level are they? High level people who are muftis? We kind of discussed this a little bit. You all are a little rusty today. I get it. We missed a week.
Sister Zachariah in the waiting room.
I know. I'm trying to get my thing together. I don't know what's going on. This ancient piece of machinery I got, it's not working with me.
And that last person, I don't think you said high scholar. I don't think he is, because I remember something of him just learning from what he got from the other people prior to him, way prior, like
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think he.
So we mentioned two basic categories. One who is an absolute, the one under the scholar of mustahid. And so Salim put it in the chat. So mustahid has about 6 or 7 different levels, and the ones who is a mufti, he's basically above the level of the general people, the awam, or the lay person like us. And so mufti is basically qualified to just basically relate a ruling that he knows where to find it at, not to be able to research. Like he can relate to you a ruling about a particular issue that's already been passed. Then you have a mufti or a person who is a mujtahid in their school, in their madhab, that he can tell you the ruling within their madhab. And so those different ones. So it's good to know these important, because we hear somebody's a mufti or a grand mufti, and these titles sound grand, but they're basically a level above us, right? And so the one who is not able to be a mujtahid, whatever level it is, then they have to be a muqallid, meaning the one who has to follow and not necessarily know the proofs, because taqlid implies that the one who doesn't know is following the one who does know, because the one who is leading you knows where to guide you at. And so we gave an example, like if you went to Disney World, and you're on a tour bus and they take you on a tour of Disney World, would you ask the tour guide where did he get his knowledge from, or what's his ijazah, or what's his dalil? If he's telling you the what's the name of those? I don't know the stuff, but he was like, this building's over here, this is here, this is established here. you wouldn't question him because you have a trust that he knows what he's doing. That's why he's in the position, right?
Yes.
And that's the same thing with Islamic scholarship. The one who is the mujtahid is the one leading, and the one is muqallid. You have to blindly follow or imitate them in knowledge because you don't have the knowledge that they possess. And so this story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam and Khidr is a example of this following scholarship because you don't know. And so it is a lesson for Prophet Musa alayhi salam in humility, and also Allah answering his statement about him being the most knowledgeable person. So he's going on his journey, and things are happening that he sees that he can't really ignore as a prophet. And so now we're going to get into the story. So we left off in ayat 70. So we'll start at ayat 71 and 72. So let me share the screen. There are a couple new people. So Sister Jasmine Brooks, assalamu alaikum. So what's the levels of mustahid mutlaq? So that's a question. Good question. The levels of mustahid mutlaq is the top level. That means a scholar who is an absolute mujtahid, who can go directly to the Quran and Sunnah, and they can extract rulings, and they don't have to follow another scholar in that. And so these are the scholars like the famous imams, Imam Ahmed, Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, and Imam Abu Hanifa. So that's a high level, and these kind of people, they're not around today. They're not around today. Then there's levels of a mujtahid who can, in his school, and the one who can follow, who can make comparisons in their school and find out which one has the most, the one that is most suitable to relate to you as a ruler. And so different level. We have to cover that in another class. But mujtahid mutlaq is the absolute one, and then down to the bottom is the mufti, who is a level above us, who we are awam. And so it was either those categories. It was either those categories. You either that, or you were either a scholar in one of those levels, or you were a regular person. But nowadays we have sheikhs, we have imams, we have maulanas, and some of them, all of them are basically in the level of awam, and it shows you where the high scholarship in Islam and the bar that's been set high for us, and that we have to try to match. So. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on that, so I want to get into this. But everybody, is there any questions on that? And a special shout out to Sister Zakaria, who's back with us. Assalamu alaikum, good to see you.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How's everyone?
Good. My computer's acting up for some reason today. I can't share the screen. A second. It's time for a new one. Okay, there we go. It's recording. Share the screen. Okay, so we're going to start where we left off at. So verses 71 and 72. So later, would you mind reading those two verses, inshallah ta'ala?
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فانطلقا حتى إذا ركبا في السفينة خرقها قال أخرقتها لتغرق أهلها لقد جئت شيئا إمرا قال ألم أقل إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So anyone want to volunteer to read the English verses 71 and 72?
Bismillah. I got you.
Okay.
So they set out until when they got on a boat. He stove a hole in it. He said, "Have you stove it?" But to end by drowning everyone in it. You have truly committed something outrageous. He
Okay.
said, That was 71 and 72. He said, did I not say you would never be able to have any patience with me?
Okay. All right. So here, the first encounter that they have is they come across a boat, and Khidr destroys the boat. And so this is the second time Khidr tells them, didn't I tell you wouldn't be able to have patience with me? And so they were walking along the seashore, the ship that they came across, it is reported in some narrations that the sailors, they knew who Khidr was already, right? And so once he gets on the boat or the ship, he puts a hole in the ship. And so Musa, he couldn't understand it because this is something that was treachery. And treachery is one of the impossible attributes of the messengers. So remember we talked about in our other class the necessary attributes of the prophets and messengers, that, you know, they have things that are necessary for them, and the opposite of those attributes are impossible. And so one of their necessary attributes is called isma, or trustworthiness, right? And the opposite of it is treachery. So if he sees something that's treacherous, he couldn't just let it be on his watch and not say anything. And so that's why he asked him, you know, why did you do that? You know, these people let us get on their boat and you just destroyed it. Like, so he's not realizing the lesson yet. And it's all a lesson stemming from the other part. Allah is teaching him, I'm taking you on another level of knowledge. Yes, you're the most knowledgeable, you're a prophet, but this is another level that you have to learn humility, you know. From that statement that he said, remember we covered it when he was asked by his people, who is the most knowledgeable person on earth? And Musa said, I don't know anybody else besides me. So Allah is basically saying, oh yeah, well, I'm going to take you to somebody to show you you're not, you know. And so, you know, and this is how the prophets, you know, the things that they do are not really sins, but it's corrected by revelation, right? And so that's what happened there. And so Khidr is reminding him when he said in the ayat, didn't I say that you would not be able to have patience with me? He's reminding him of the conditions they put forth before they started the journey. And so remember, he told him, you will not be able to have patience with me. And Musa came this long journey. He met him, and now he's anxious. Like, I came this long way to learn, but he don't know what the lesson is yet. So he's telling him the lesson here is patience and humility and matters of the unseen, which you don't have knowledge of, that Khidr was given a special knowledge. All right. Any questions on that? Okay, I'll go to the next slide. And so verse 73, Layla, can you read that?
Yes. قال لا تؤاخذني بما نسيت ولا ترهقني من أمري عسرا.
Sister New, you read the translation.
Bismillah. He said, take me not to task for having forgotten, nor burden me in this following of you with unbearable hardship.
Okay. So then it becomes clear that Musa, he's not really getting it yet, you know. So he forgot about, he was just supposed to go along and not say nothing. That was it, that we agreed upon. And if a prophet, you know, is one of the necessary attributes is having truthfulness, sidq, then he has to honor his word. And so he's starting to realize, okay, this is a little beyond my pay grade. And so he's requesting from Khidr, you know, take it easy on him. Because, you know, he is not registering yet this kind of knowledge that he's been exposed to. So he was a prophet, Musa alayhi salam. We know the story about him. He received the 10 commandments, the Torah. You know, he came to his people. He freed them from bondage. So he's, you know, one of the most often mentioned prophets in the Quran. And so he's saying now, but he realizes after what he just witnesses, after he witnessed, the obvious is like obsolete. You know, what I just saw, this is something different. So, okay, let me take a step back and realize what's going on here. And so he's telling Khidr, don't take me to task about this. And so he's coming to terms with this true humility in front of a master teacher. So it's not taking him long, but it's taking him long because, you know, Musa alayhi salam, we know his kind of characteristic. He was kind of like strong and demanding. And, you know, we read in the Quran and other verses where, you know, he got into a squabble, and he punched a man and killed him. So this is the kind of strength he had. And also in the other part of the Quran where he met the two sisters and they were in a line to get water to take back to their home, and there was people, taking up the line, and he came and moved the rock so that they could get to the water. And they said that it was a rock that would take 40 men to move it. He moved it by himself. So, that kind of strength people who are strong and masculine, they have a kind of mentality like, I'm out here, I'm out here. Who want what? That kind of attitude. But Musa is getting the lesson of humility, but it still hasn't reached him yet. All right. And so Khidr has reminded him, and he became humble. And so I don't know if you all remember, I told you that there was a movie that came out in the 70s. They took the story from the Quran about the journey of Musa and Khidr, and it's called a movie called Circle of Iron. And I wanted to play a clip from it where they took the story. And so this is the first story about the boat, inshallah. So we'll just watch it real quick. Hold on. Difficulties today. Some of y'all making dua against me or something. What's going on? I don't know why this trees. Okay, there you go.
I realize now you are my hidden teacher. And if I am to survive the next trial, I must be allowed to follow you and to learn.
You will never endure it.
I will.
Will I?
Tell me why I won't be able to endure it.
You will never have the patience. You will see things and judge them before you know what they mean.
What thing?
You see? You ask what things even before the things have happened. Your impatience is beyond me.
I'll be patient. I'll be an empty vessel.
One condition.
Anything.
You must ask nothing about any event until such time as I myself give you an answer.
Agreed.
We wish to cross your river. What is the fare for the two of us?
You don't look as if you had money.
Will this be payment enough?
Yes, this will do.
Wait, you old fool. Let me see. It's worthless. If you want to cross the river, swim.
Stop that. This is an honest man.
Like you are a good man in bed, you silly stick. No money, no transportation.
It is my boat. I will decide.
Your boat? Your poor sons and mine.
Since when is it yours?
Since I married you, you ignoramus. Didn't I pay for it with the gift of my body and the blessing of a boy child?
The gift you gave me once, 20 years ago.
Go back again.
That poor man.
He's happy.
Happy? There's misery in every bone in his body.
Is not a happy man one who does not fear death. Not only does he not fear it, his days are filled with joy, looking forward to it.
Why'd you do that? He wanted to help us. Is that how you repay him? You've destroyed his livelihood. He'll be defenseless against her now.
I told you, you would jump to conclusions.
What are you doing?
Hiding.
There's nothing here to hide from.
Not yet.
Okay, so I don't know if that came up clear or not, but this is a movie that they took the story right out from the Quran, and so this movie is starring David Carradine. For some of you older folks, You might remember who that was. Some of y'all young ones, y'all don't remember nothing except from y'all time. But so they took that story right up from the Quran. So David Carradine is in there. It's supposed to be Khidr, and they got him as a blind man, and so you see right there, that's taken right from the story of Musa and Khidr in the Quran. So he destroyed the boat. And Musa alayhi salam is asking him again, like, why did you do that after he already made the agreement to not say anything? Just watch and learn, just follow me and I'm gonna show you these lessons. All right. I thought that you all would enjoy that. And I got a couple more clips too, inshallah. But let's go to the next verse. Okay, verses 74 and 75. Would you read them, Layla?
Yes, give me 1 second. It says 74 and 75.
Yes.
Okay.
I couldn't hear. Can anybody hear that? I can't hear it.
No, she cut out.
Okay. Layla, can you hear? Layla?
Zakiya.
Okay, Layla? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Layla? You kind of went out there.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Can you
Yeah,
hear
it
me?
didn't really. Yeah, we couldn't hear you recite.
Oh, okay, sorry. Let me do 74 and 75.
We can hear you now. Yeah, try it again, inshallah.
Okay. فانطلقا حتى إذا لقيا غلاما فقتله قال أقتلت نفسا زكية بغير نفس لقد جئت شيئا نكرا قال ألم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا.
Okay, Sister Nunu, would you read the English for us?
Bismillah. So off they set until when they met a boy, and he slew him. Moses said, have you taken an innocent life for other than taking a life? You have truly done something heinous. 75 says, he said, did I not tell you that you could never have any patience with me?
Okay, shukran, sis. Okay, so then they go to the next episode, and here's Khidr basically like, how many times do I have to tell you? And so as they continued on the journey, they came across a young boy who had not reached puberty, and Khidr killed him. And so one narration says that he smashed his head against the wall and killed him. And so here he took a life without right. And of course, Musa alayhi salam, being a prophet who was an upholder of the law, who was a lawgiver, like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad, he could not see the law be broken and not say anything. And so he said, how could you kill this young man who was a pure soul, right? What's going on here? Like, now you're doing something else. Okay, I got the boat part, all right, but now you took somebody's life. And so Khidr is reminding him again. And so here, this is very important. So Khidr had reminded him 3 times. He said the first time when and Musa alayhi salam embraced him, he said, Innaka lan tastati ma'iya sabra. You will never be able to have patience. He said, verily you will never be able to have patience. So right from the outset, he was telling Musa what Musa thought he would know. He thought he came to learn some knowledge from someone other than him. And the lesson is that, okay, you're not ready and you'll get it at the end, but you have to go through all these experiences. And so that's usually the knowledge when we learn, we have to go through experiences and realize that there's more that we don't know than we do know. Because sometimes, knowledge has an effect on people that they might get, if they don't have taqwa, they get a little cocky. I know something someone doesn't know. People use it as a means of control. People use it as a means to put people down. But knowledge is supposed to be a means to bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make you realize your humbleness. And so that's a lesson for us, as the Quran is the revelation for all time. Whatever we learn, be grateful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the ability to learn it, and know that there will always be more that we don't know than what we do know. And so it is better for a person to take what they know and practice it and be consistent than to have a lot of knowledge and not practice it. And so so this is one of the lessons here. And so the first time he told him that you will never be patient. Then the second time he said, Alam aqul innaka lan tastati ma'iya sabra. Didn't I say to you that you wouldn't have patience? After the first time he told him, before they went on the journey, you will not have patience. Then the second time he saw the boat, he said that you, didn't I say that you wouldn't have patience? Then we have an agreement already. Like, basically, how many times I got to tell you to keep your word, to follow instructions, because that's what taqleed is. Follow instructions. And it doesn't mean that your knowledge is incompetent because you have to follow someone else. It's just that you don't know and you need to learn. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran. Fas'alu ahlu dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. Ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. And in Islam, it's even magnified. Like, if you didn't know something about in science or school or in health, you have to go to a doctor. If you don't know how to bake a cake, you got to go to a baker. If you don't know how to build a house, you got to go to someone who is a carpenter. The same way in Deen, if you don't know something, you have to ask people who know, and you have to follow people who are known to know, which is the scholars. All right. And so then the third time, after he seen him kill the boy, and then he said, and this is interesting, the word in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses, he says, Alam akul laka. Didn't I say to you, the first time he made it general, didn't I mention it that you will not be able to have patience? You will never be able to have patience. Didn't I say you will never be patient? You saw these two incidents and you already questioned me after we already agreed that you will follow along, that you won't say nothing. And now he's telling them, Alam akul laka innaka lan tasti'a ma'iya sabra. Didn't I say to you, didn't I tell you specifically? So he's basically saying, how many times I got to tell you that you're not going to be able to have patience? So stop bugging me about this stuff. The lesson, you won't get the lesson if you don't follow and listen. So this is also one of the etiquettes of knowledge, to be humble, and listen and learn. And sometimes, it's sometimes it's to ask questions, but sometimes learning is a lot of listening, right? And so here's another lesson in humility. Just listen, because it's going to be made clear to you at the end, inshallah. And so then there's another, verse 76. Go to the next, read that one, Layla.
قال إن سألتك عن شيء بعدها فلا تصاحبني قد بلغت من لدني عذرا.
Okay, Nuna, will you read the translation, inshallah?
Bismillah. He said, if I ask you about anything more, then keep my company no further. You have attained from me complete excuse.
Okay, Tayyib Shabrat. I'll say, so now Musa is it's becoming even clearer that he's starting to get the lesson. So now, no excuses. And he understood that if he were to ask after this, he should be cut loose, because he has to keep his word as a prophet, right? And if he were to ask, he wouldn't. And if he were to ask again, and if Khidr would say, "No, I'm done with you," he was saying, "I wouldn't contest it, because now I have no more excuses. I already made the agreement. I forgot the agreement. I seen things that were like, against my principles as a prophet. Okay, I'm questioning them. I have to say something. As we know as Muslims, we can't see evil in our presence and not at least say something, right? And so this is a necessary. We talked about impossible attributes of the prophets, which is treachery. Here you see an example of the necessary attribute the prophets, which is Isma, or having being truthful, being trustworthy, and sidq, which is truthfulness. That every prophet and messenger, they have to have these attributes in order for them to be prophets and messengers. And the opposite of them is impossible for them. So if sidq is being truthfulness, the opposite of is kadhib, lying. It is impossible for a prophet to lie, right? And so now it's becoming clearer. And so now Musa has agreed to stick to his agreement of not saying anything until it's over. Right? And so here, this will be the last part. So in the Quran, in the movie, they switched it around. So they made this part last, but this is the second story that we're covering. But if you were to watch this movie, I don't know if you all would be interested in watching a movie like this. I mean, it wasn't like a blockbuster. But one of my teachers had put me on with this years ago, so I thought you would like to see like the story, unfolded in the cinematic world. And so I'm gonna play this last clip, inshallah. And so this is about the boy. And in this one, he doesn't kill him; he just strikes his face. What's going on today? Okay. That's not it. Yeah. There you go.
And a horse has no udders, and a cow can't whinny. And up is down, and sideways is straight ahead. Why? This time I'm leaving.
You must stop making promises.
This is more than a promise. Now that I'm free of you, I'm free to ask questions. Explain yourself. What did you mean by kicking in the ferry boat?
Of the two of us, you are the one who is blind. Blinded by what you see.
I want an answer, not all this philosophy.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So that's basically the end of it. The name of this movie is called Circle of Iron, starring David Carradine. And of course, we should know by now, the Quran version is not like that. It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood stuff. So they changed it up a little bit. So in the movie, they made the killing or the hitting of the boy last. In the Quran, it's the striking of the boat, then the killing of the young man, and then fixing the wall. So that's what we're going to cover next week and try to finish this section, because remember the four themes that Suratul Kahf covers? What are those four themes? What are the four main stories of Suratul Kahf?
The cave.
Okay.
The cave.
What about the cave?
The, um, about the three. Well, about the young men that were in the cave
Okay.
and how they fell asleep and they woke up in a different time and the significance of that and how they stood firm
Mhm.
against the people that were committing shirk. They were polytheists during their time.
And so, what's the lesson we got from the story of the companions of the cave?
To stand firm in your belief regardless if you're the only one. And to trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like he showed us that how powerful he was by putting them to sleep.
Yeah.
Um,
You know.
and then they're waking up in a totally different time zone. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
he showed us his that he is Al Hayy.
Yes. Okay, good. So they answered in the chat. So the first one, the story about the boys having istiqama, challenging authority, not backing down, standing on their principles, patience, perseverance. Then we had the story of the two men in the garden, and we got from that, to avoid greed, not being tempted by the life of this world, how, greed with riches and worldly wealth leads you to oppression. Then this is the third story they cover with Musa and Khidr. And so this is a story of humility, understanding knowledge is vast, patience. And next week we're going to finish this section off, inshallah. And then we'll deal with the fourth story of Dhul Qarnayn. Okay. Um, so let's see. So Isha is going to come in a few minutes here. So we're going to skip the Salawat for today, inshallah. I had a little delay because we had a brother and sister got married tonight, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. So make dua that Allah bless their union. And so the Salawat, we know, the Prophet ﷺ encouraged us to increase our Salawat on Friday. And so we won't cover that tonight, but please try to get a jump on it. And as we encourage you all, from tonight until Maghrib tomorrow, try to do at least 500. If it's just a minimum of Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, get you some nice beads, count, inshallah. And this is a video that we have here for those who are joining us for the first time. We usually play this is about 15 minutes long, and it's 100 salawat. And so there are a number of different variations, but we should, on Friday, we should increase the salawat on the Prophet Sallallahu. And this is actually, in my view, this is the crowning glory of Jumu'ah, to increase the prayers and peace upon the Prophet Sallallahu, because it has so many virtues. And I read from a scholar recently that these are the things, this is probably guaranteed to be accepted. We can do deeds, they might not be intent, may not be the pure intent. We might do them haphazard, but just reciting these words on the Prophet Sallallahu, these things are accepted. These things go on your scale. These things travel. And the Prophet Sallallahu, as we know from the Hadith, he said that the people who will be closest to him on Yom Kiyyamah is the one who sent the most salat and salam on him. And so, of course, we want to be in close proximity to the Prophet ﷺ, and this is an easy way to do it. We fall short in sins, we fall short in our worship, we fall short in our transactions, and all of these things. A good way to offset all of these things is to send abundant salawat on the Prophet ﷺ, and it's as easy as taking some time out. And the spiritual ramifications, it can't be beat. So we say at least 500 because we know people got to get used to this. But some of us, we do 1,000 every Jumu'ah, and there are people who do 1,000 every day. So mashallah. So this is how you reach those spiritual levels, and how and this stuff removes anxiety, removes sorrow, all of these things that we have, the spiritual diseases and things that affect our mind. You'll find these things going away, when you increase the salawat on the Prophet Sallallahu. And some of the spiritual masters have said that if you do 300 daily, you do 300 salawat daily, you never have to worry about any of your worldly matters. And you have to do it and to believe it. Sometimes we might do it and we still worry about how we're going to get this paid. What we're going to do about this. Don't worry about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reveal it to you. That don't mean you still don't do your best with your capacity. But don't overthink it. Don't become anxious about it. Don't worry about it. Just do the work and let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring to you what you need. You know. And so once you remove all barriers that prevent you from doing that, then you'll see the doors of higher of goodness opening up to you, inshallah. So there was a question from sister before we leave out. She said, "This off topic. Do you do Arabic classes? If not, Sister Layla, yeah, my daughter does an Arabic class for sisters on Sunday, a Quran reading class Sunday at 11 a.m. And I also do one for brothers, inshallah, on Sundays. Yeah, so you can just pop up, inshallah, and Layla will, inshallah, take care of you, or make an assessment to see if you're ready, and go from there, inshallah. So, are there any questions before we conclude? Okay, and also, even though we're going through this, make sure that you read Suratul Kahf, inshallah, get a jump on it by doing it tonight. If you can't read Arabic, just, use your app or whatever program you have and listen to the Arabic, recitation of the Quran. And if you can't read Arabic, just read it in English, inshallah, because the Prophet ﷺ encouraged us to read Suratul Kahf on Jumu'ah. And one of the virtues of it is that it serves as a light from one Jumu'ah to the next, and so get acquainted with this surah, because one of the hidden secrets of the surah is that you are reading it on the height of your week, and and you look at the surah, how many life lessons that is giving you at the height of your week, and you're at the height of your week and you're at the top of your game. It's giving you lessons of humility. It's giving you lessons of perseverance, patience, making you recognize that you don't know anything, and so of course, you at the height of something. Imagine you're the best athlete in the world. How many people could tell you something? Who can tell you, like, who can stop you? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, as if we're like the top athletes in the world, give you these reminders that you're just, you're a speck of dust, come from a drop of semen. You're someone who has a beginning, you reach a climax, and you start a decline, and then there's a being ending, and then you have to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all this worldly thing is about. And so the goal is to prepare for the next life that is everlasting. So, and in surah, you will always read these gems over and over and over. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us benefit from Suratul Kahf and the entire Quran, and make it as a means of guidance for us. I mean, so we're in there. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Al-Fatiha. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.